Stay there. We are joined now by an outspoken critic of the Federal Reserve who has been calling for its audit. Republican Congressman Ron Paul of Texas with us for his take on all of this. I have to first ask you about this Person of the Year choice. You know, here's what Time said, Congressman Paul. They said that he basically didn't just learn from history, he wrote it himself. Do you think that he deserved this honor today?
Oh, yes, he deserves the honor, but for a completely different reason. I find that Bernanke is the greatest counterfeiter in the history of the world. He has created new dollars out of thin air more than anybody else, and we happen to have the reserve currency of the world. So he was a participant in the grand bubble. He's responsible for the crash. He didn't save us. This thing isn't even over yet. So I don't see him as being a savior. He's the participant, and he is a counterfeiter. And for this reason, he is the most powerful man in the world. He's more powerful than the president.
Congressman, one of the things that Time did point out is that he did make sure that the system had lots of excess liquidity. Yes, the dollar's under pressure. I know that bothers you, but at the same time, we did not go into another Great Depression, and we are technically out of a recession now in this country. You don't want to give him any credit for any of that, sir.
No, it's temporary, and we might be in 1931 or 32, so hold on to your chairs and hold on to your hats, because it's not over yet. And he himself, you know, he was in office for over 2.5 years before the crunch. Go back and read all his statements. He said everything is going well. Did he take over the chairmanship and say, oh, you know, Greenspan inflated too much. He created this bubble, and we need to protect ourselves and prevent a crash? No, he continued the process. He allowed the crash to occur, and then the very cause of the crash, he doubled that effort. Too much inflating of the money supply was the cause. So what did he do? He inflated even more and more. He should be called, there should be a picture on Time magazine with him flying a helicopter pushing out money. Because he's known for saying that he's Helicopter Ben. I mean, that would have been a great picture, and I would have said, yes, he deserves every bit of it.
My colleagues here have a couple of questions for you. Gentlemen, go ahead.
Congressman, this is Michael Rourke. You know, what Ben Bernanke did is traditional central bank practices. You know, Alexander Hamilton, as the first Secretary of the Treasury, did many of the same things that Ben Bernanke has done. So, I mean, I'm taking you have a problem with Hamilton as well, then.
Oh, certainly, because I'd have been with Jefferson. I'd been arguing with Jefferson that ended the first central bank, ended the first national bank, which was Hamilton. So, yes, it started all with Hamilton, but the Constitution was still on the side of Jefferson, that we weren't to have a central bank. There is no authority for a central bank. Only gold and silver can be legal tender. We shouldn't be running up these deficits and running up this borrowing. We can't even borrow the money, so we print the money. It's insane.
Congressman, you also make a pretty startling claim in your weekly column. I'm reading it right here. The Fed used its immense power to help elite friends. Who?
He sure didn't help the homeowners. He sure didn't help the people who lost their jobs, but he sure helped Goldman Sachs and other companies that got bailed out, and the big banks.
If those companies and banks hadn't been bailed out, weren't we looking at something that would have badly injured the world economy and caused perhaps a Great Depression instead of a recession?
Well, you're postulating. I think that we're doing what we did in the 30s. We prolong the agony. Well, it all depends on what economic policies you understand. But no, we're prolonging the agony. We're doing exactly the wrong things. We did this in the Depression, and it doesn't solve our problem. So I would say that there has been no success. It's like you say that a patient comes to me and they're a drug addict and they're having withdrawal symptoms. I say, oh, no sweat, I can take care of it. Here, I'll give you an injection. The patient walks out feeling pretty good.
I'll tell you what,
but the problem is still there. The problem is still there, and that's what we're in denial of.
Well, I want to move away from, just real quick, I want to bring in our correspondent, Peter Barnes, who's also in Washington, Congressman, where you are. And Peter, you know, Congressman Paul has been very vocal. He wants more auditing of the Fed, but Mr. Bernanke, even I believe yesterday, was still giving statements to the Capitol Hill saying that he believes that the Fed does need more power. He wants to protect the power of the Fed. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, and I'd like to ask Congressman Paul while we've got him here, because let's talk about practical politics here. Now, the nomination is going to be voted out of committee tomorrow by the Senate Banking Committee, and then we'll go to the full Senate for a vote probably in January. and there are several co-sponsors in the Senate for Congressman Paul's legislation to require more audits of the Fed, including audits of monetary policy. It would pass in the House tomorrow. Congressman Paul has 350-some co-sponsors. In the Senate, it hasn't been given much of a chance until now because we have several senators who are threatening to filibuster Chairman Bernanke's nomination vote on in the full Senate. And the price of allowing the vote to go forward may be a vote on Congressman Paul's legislation in the Senate. Congressman Paul, what's the outlook? What's the outlook for his in the Senate for his legislation?
Let's let him respond.
Well, first off, it has already passed the House. It passed the committee, and it's in that banking bill. So the auditing the Fed is in, in the House bill. So in the Senate, no, it's a lot more different. The senators aren't as responsive to the grassroots. This is a grassroots movement, and this is the way it's been in the past. The grassroots usually rebel against fiat money and inflationism because the people want value in their money and they don't want to lose their jobs. So they're the ones who have rebelled, and the senators aren't that responsive. I think Bernanke will end up being nominated. If I were there, I'd vote against him. But I also make the point that that's not really the discussion. The discussion is should we have a secret bank fixing interest rate and trying to do central economic planning with no oversight of the Congress, giving us these financial bubbles. Everybody talks about Bernanke, what he did to maybe soften things a little bit as of the moment, but nobody said, how did the bubble occur? Where did the housing bubble come from? Where did the NASDAQ bubble come? Where did the stock market bubble come in 1929? It's all the Fed, and that is what we have to direct our attention to. Otherwise, we'll repeat this over and over again, but unfortunately, it won't be as easy to reflate this bubble because right now what we're going to do is work on the destruction of the dollar, and that's another problem, and it's much bigger.
Congressman, we don't have a lot of time with you, but we have another question for you here in New York.
Congressman, in principle, I agree with you on many issues, whereas how we got here as far as the Fed policies in the past. But going forward, is this the correct way? Because I think you're risking, as someone who you think any Fed chairman is a bad Fed chairman, I would say, based on the way you talk, and that you don't want the Fed to be there. So are we risking, taking the independence of the Fed and putting it in the hands of Congress? Whereas you have legislators driving financial policy, fiscal policy, monetary policy in this country, and I guess my point is, in practice, are you, taking your own beliefs and making the situation worse?
Well, that's a total misinterpretation of what the bill does, and of course that's what Bernanke says it does, but it doesn't. It excludes any control of the Congress over monetary policy. Otherwise, I couldn't have been able to get 317 co-sponsors because I don't want to run monetary policy here, and we wouldn't agree on it anyway. So that is not the issue. The issue really is how much responsibility does the Congress have to have it over the Federal Reserve that can create money, make loans, make deals, have agreements with central banks, have agreements with other governments. That is the whole issue.
All right, Congressman, real quick before I let you go, a very busy day in the House today. You've got a lot of votes that are happening right now in particular. Where are you guys and gals?
Well, right now we're just doing a lot of cleaning up. We're not get to the medical bill. We have to do things like adjournment votes and a few things like that. Okay. But no, there'll be a lot of votes, and I suspect that we're going to be there late tonight.
All right, Congressman Ron Paul from Texas. Congressman, we always love having you on Fox Business. We hope to see you again, sir. Thank you.